Welcome back to Your 1230, the only podcast where our guests tell their story with the help of 12 questions in just 30 minutes. Today, we are very excited to be speaking with Sasha Rogers and David Falco. Sasha is a licensed counselor and health expert helping busy professional men and women prevent burnout and manage stress through prioritizing their health to lead a life of self-care and success. And David, he's the founder and CEO of Anthem Academy. He's a 16-year fitness professional who has an emphasis or has had an emphasis on self-development outside of the gym for himself and his over 2,600 clients worldwide. Together, they have more than 3 decades in the industry. David, Sasha, welcome. We are really excited to speak with you both today.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're excited.
Of course. And I left out the part that you were husband and wife. How did you start working together, or what was the first project that you worked on and realized this could be a thing?
Oh gosh, he's looking at me. So I'll start with that.
I'll let her handle that one.
Okay.
This is kind of juicy because we actually have a very similar personality when it comes to work. We're both very independent, strong-willed, and determined. So we had no idea how it would work out with us working together when we decided to go all in and completely just have one business together. So we decided to completely do that in 2020 during COVID, decided to make that complete transition. And it's been a pleasant surprise for us because, in all honesty, we had talked about it years in advance of me leaving, doing counseling and just completely working together. And we're like, oh, can we do this? How's this going to work out? Both of us being strong leaders, but it's been great.
Yeah, it was. This was something that I was really wanting to do for a really, really long time. I know that the stresses of her job, her former job, that she was dealing with. And it was, really a goal of mine for us to work in this together. And when COVID happened in 2020, it caused a lot of struggles for a lot of the fitness industry. I think 33% of the entire fitness industry did not recover. And we were actually part of that statistic with our brick and mortar. And we had to make some really, really hard decisions and pivoting from in-person with the brick and mortar and then going fully online, which we have for the last 3 years now. I'd done some online training prior to that, but when that situation happened with the pandemic, that was something that we made the decision to go all in on. We made that pivot, we made that transition, and it's actually been a blessing in disguise. We also had our first child that year in 2022 as well. So it allowed both of us to be home. And that was, looking back now, it's crazy how things work out like that. And you may not see the blessings, at that given time, but things will work out if you keep plugging away. But that's when we decided, to actually work together, like for real 100%.
That's a good description because a lot has happened in the last few years. You've sprinkled in a couple of kids besides starting a business. So congratulations on all that.
Yes.
Dave, you mentioned the transition to an online model from brick and mortar, which a lot of people have made, and myself included, were probably in the camp beforehand that I can't do what I do if I'm not in the same room as the person. And I think a lot of people feel that, especially when it comes to fitness and exercise. How were you able to get over that hurdle? And what was something that you thought was, no, this is going to lose something if we're not there, but it's been okay, as you've mentioned?
That's a great question. A lot of the things that I was questioning is, would we be able to be effective as well online as we were in person? And the answer that we've discovered is an overwhelming yes. A lot of what I have found out from our current clientele is that it's not necessarily, and this is what I talked about, or what you mentioned even in the intro, is emphasizing not what goes on in the gym, in the facility, but what happens outside of the gym is actually more important in regards to people's success and their progress. And so, like I said, we've made a perspective shift of, yes, of course, the workouts are obviously a big piece of the puzzle. They're an important part of the puzzle, but the bigger pieces are the stressors, like you said, outside, Obviously, their nutrition, their time management, their emotional control, their self-sabotage, and all of those is where we turned most of the emphasis towards when we started working with people online, not just, how many sets or reps of a particular movement. This goes far beyond more. And that Sasha accelerated with this because with her background, obviously in counseling and therapy. So it was just a really, really great fit, and it's done really, really well.
Good to hear. And Sasha, you mentioned both the terms independent and strong-willed. So those can sometimes be code word for difficult to work together. Do you remember anything when you first started as saying, well, we're going to have to, if this is going to work, we're going to have to get past this, or any story up front that like, I don't know if this was a good idea?
I think we continually have to work on, we have similar strengths, but we have completely different strengths at the same time. I'm much more organized than David is. And so being able to tell him, I'm like, we have to get more organized for this to be able to work. We have to be on the same page. So even as a couple and as business partners now, it has forced us to even work on our communication, which has helped us grow not only in our personal lives, but professionally. So he forces me out of my comfort zone, which is one of his strengths. He's much more like, let's just take the leap and do it. I'm more conservative on that end. And then I'm much more organized. Let's think things through. So I'm able to push that off on him a little bit to balance each other out.
Very nice. That's a good answer to that question. So I appreciate that. One of the things I wanted to also ask, in your bio is the term self-care, which means different things to different people. How do you help people understand how to better care for themselves?
For me, it's self-care means prioritizing yourself inside and outside of your health in general. When it comes to, we look at things, especially as women that I work with, is like, we want to be super successful at home and we want to be super successful at work. Well, where's that middle ground that we can be successful in both? We have to take care of ourselves as well. So that self-care comes in. You have to prioritize yourself. You have to be willing to invest that time and energy into yourself. So that way you have that to give to other people. So we can't we can't be good leaders at work. We can't be good leaders at home if we're not taking care of ourselves, both physically and mentally. So that's what it means to me, being able to push our clients to be uncomfortable and to force them that this is a priority and you have to make it a priority.
I love that answer, because it's a lot of the pushback that I think that sometimes I'll hear on that is that, I don't have time. There's more important, more pressing priorities, but you're spot on that if you don't take care of that first, it's really hard to do the other things at a good level, let alone an exemplary or expert level. So I think that's a great starting point. The other thing that you both kind of had mentioned so far, and I'll let either of you take it first, was kind of a holistic approach to health, exercise, and wellness. And David references it with the focus both inside the gym as well as the self-development outside. Has that something that you've always had? How did you develop that, or how did you come to this is probably the best way to do this?
No, so even in our own pursuit of being successful and whatever that means for us, it's like I've had help along the way. I've always invested in additional coaching, additional consulting. I myself, the same things, struggled with time management, organization, as Sasha mentioned earlier too as well. Stress management, emotional control, the same thing. We all, whether it's you, us, our students, it's like everybody can and is able to improve in those areas. And even if they excel, there's still an opportunity to even get better. So when we talk about like a holistic approach, again, like I said, this is a lot of times what I've mentioned before is that this is not a fitness and nutrition program. This is a self-development program. The fitness and the nutrition are just two main tools that we use. But it revolves, they're universal, the things that we're teaching our students. So they can apply to the household. They can apply to the workspace. They can apply like to their own mental health. And so it's not just, again, workouts, food, macronutrients, things like that. It's like we're really working on improving the individual as a whole, again, both physically and mentally.
Thank you. Anything to add there, Sasha, or that's you sign off on that answer?
Yes, sign off on that for sure. It's a holistic approach for me is I always reference it when I talk to my clients as buckets. And I'm like, we have these buckets that we want to fill in our life. And if we're just completely filling up one bucket and we're neglecting the others, we don't feel joy. We don't feel happy. We don't feel whole. And that's the problem is we feel like we're giving so much to one area and we're leaving ourselves empty in the others. And so for a holistic approach, we have to be willing to invest in all these areas. And it all starts with you working on yourself.
Yeah, I would even echo on that too as well, because it's like, if you're successful financially, but you're fat, I mean, just need to cut to the chase. And it's like, that's going to affect you mentally. And so eventually that's going to take a toll. If you're, if you're in shape, but you're absolutely broke, that's a problem too as well. Right. So it's not just one area. And like what Sasha talks about, like these buckets, it's like, we're looking to improve our students it's like in any area, honestly, that they're looking to improve. And what we're finding is like these disciplines that we're trying to instill in them, again, like I said, they're universal so that they're able to fill all those buckets up as well as they can. And they may not be simultaneously. And that's the biggest thing. What I talk to my students about is like, it's not a balance. There's no such, in my mind, there's no such thing as a balance. If you're going to focus on one area of your life, another area is going to suffer a little bit, but it's not necessarily ever going to be like equal, but you can continue to shift. So if you're more focused on your family, well, one area may suffer, but then you can always go back and forth, and there's these ebbs and flows. But when it all comes down to it, it's like having discipline is going to be the bottom line. And like, whether you're wanting to improve your health, your finances, your relationship, your spirituality, it all comes down to like discipline, having a plan of action, and then pursuing it.
Yeah, I think both those visuals are really helpful. First, with the different buckets, understanding that they're different levels, they need different attention, and if they're ignored, that there's going to be a problem down the line. Then the balance piece, I absolutely love that it's not necessarily going to always be an exact harmony, but there is going to be a give and take. Mm-hmm. You need to know where that balance is for you. So that's a great picture you both paint there. You're kind of in that, and kind of changing gears a little bit with living together, working together, raising children together. What does a typical day, if one is typical, look like for you both?
You want to take this one?
Busy. We wake up extremely early. David typically, starting with our own health, we said it's like we have to practice what we teach. So, we wake up, we do our own morning rituals, our own morning routines. David's usually at the gym by 4 a.m. I'm at the gym at 5 a.m. And then we go into having coaching sessions. So we try to bounce kids off of each other. So we live by our calendar. We have things scheduled out right now so we could be here with you. We have one that's napping. We have another one that's with a grandparent. So it's quiet, but it's paying attention to our schedules. It's that communication and making sure that we really do. We have to practice constantly what we teach other people.
Going down to that time management. So the way we explain it is that there's a lot of orchestration that's taking place within a family, and then obviously having a business from home. So like I said, we wake up early, and there's these natural transitions throughout the day, but we have to communicate and collaborate really, really well. One way that we do this is on Sunday mornings, we both break out our calendars and we look at what's on the agenda for that week. And then what are our targets? What are our goals? What are we focusing on that particular week? We review the previous week and see where those opportunities for improvement are. So it all comes down to, again, having a game plan, reviewing what went well, what can we do better, and then what do we want to focus on this week. And then if you guys have ever heard of time blocking, that's one thing that's absolutely vital in our ebbs and flows of the day. I don't know how it would be absolutely chaotic if we didn't have be able to sync and link our online calendars.
I wrote down so many things there because I love that answer. I'm going to try to follow up on as much as I can. The first part, the time management, that really it is prioritizing what's important, what needs to get done, how it can get done. And then going back to the balance, when you have the small children, that there's sacrifices, getting up early, there's You joked that it was quiet before we hit record, and I didn't think you had a sleeping child, but as the parent of 3 small ones, I really appreciate that what that means to have the quiet. So I get it, and we'll do our best to let them sleep. But also the big thing there, you mentioned collaboration and communication. That yes, it's great that you've got all these things planned out and mapped out, but if it's not properly communicated, you mentioned the syncing of the calendars. Well, if the other one doesn't know what the other expectation is, it's really hard to hit the goals, and no matter how well you prioritize. So the communication piece, the working together piece, I think really important. And I really love the part that you go back and review, because that's the easy part to kind of drop off. That it's like, well, we've got everything scheduled out. It's Sunday. Let's just look ahead. When if you can take that time to kind of look back and say, all right, we planned on this. This worked out exactly as we thought, or maybe even better. Or if we could do this again, we'd probably do it a little differently. So I love that you have both the forward thinking as well as the willingness to kind of look back and see what went well and what could have maybe gone differently. So that's fantastic. So doing the work that you do, you obviously, all of us could use some improvement in those areas. How do you figure out which students, clients are best for you, and how do you communicate that to them?
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like you had something to say right back.
It's so both Sasha and I work on our online presence, and we don't decide who takes who. It's basically, it's like depending on who connects with who online. And so if people see her or if people see me and they approach us, it's because it's not necessarily like the inner Anthem Academy. They'll see Sasha and they'll be familiar with her, or they'll see me and they'll be familiar with me. And it's just whoever they contact is typically who that particular person is looking for to be their support. Really simple.
Okay. That is simple as far as someone who is looking to work with either of you, but it is a very competitive space. How do you differentiate either online or when you connect with these students from other programs, other options, other offerings out there?
So one of the biggest things that I ask whenever I am taking an application for somebody, because we don't accept every single person that comes our way, and we want to work with people that are motivated to create change in their life. And so I will even directly ask the individuals that I talk to, it's like, where are you at? Why now? Why are you motivated? What's the reason? And I always tell them that I can't get you to a 10. It's my job, and I will be there to support you every step of the way. But if you're not ready, I can't make you be ready. And so when you're ready, come back, reach out to me. I will work as hard as you're willing to work, but I can't work harder than you. And that's something that I took from the counseling space, and I had to learn the hard way that not everybody's just quite ready yet. And when they are, you're going to be there to help and support them. So for me, that's a big deal. Is like when I'm looking for the clients that I want to work with, I want to work with the people that are ready and committed to the process and committed to themselves. We're all going to hit challenges. We're going to stumble and we're going to fall. I'm going to be there to support you through that. And we're going to get through it because it's just a lesson. We all fail. We all mess up. So it's going to be a lesson. We're going to learn from it and we're going to grow. But you have to be willing to stumble and fall. Those are the people that we want to work with. And I think David's the same way. It's like he wants to work with people that are motivated to create some type of change in their life.
I would say it's like what differentiates us from other people and other programs is number one is we have to earn the individual's trust first. And so, like I said, and that comes through our online presence. Is like they're not just randomly just finding us. They're either finding us from a referral from somebody who's already had enormous success, or like I said, it's like they are finding us. But again, it's like you're not just going to go hire a complete stranger. There's going to be some level of trust initially for them to even, attempt to reach out. And we have to earn that. And how do we do that? We show our lives online daily, from the time that we wake up, from how much we work out, from the foods that we eat, from how we keep work-life balance, and spending time with our children and our extended family. And so it's all out there for show. It's like we're extremely, I say busy, but we're extremely active online and showing how we do that. And then from that process, we will earn an individual's trust who don't know us or is not a referral over time. So I don't worry about, like I said, it's like differentiating us from X, Y, and Z. We show the people that just from our daily habits and lifestyle that we showcase online. When I say showcase, just from social media. Does that make sense?
It does, and that differentiator is the authenticity that you put out there. That this is
Absolutely.
us, this is what we do, and like you said, it may not be the right fit for everyone at that point in their journey, but for those that are, you can kind of help them get to where they want to go. And I did want to ask on that piece: has there ever been? I'm sure there's been discussion, but is there just to decide kind of where to draw the line of what gets shared out there versus what you keep at home within the family, or how do you make those determinations?
For Sasha, I think she feels, oh man, I'm not going to answer for you. So just, yeah, if you want to talk about that on the privacy or
for me, it's more of I'm much more open, but I always think about my family. It's like how I was brought up, and things aren't always the prettiest of pictures. And so I want to share parts of that, but I also try to be respectful of how that impacts others. And I grew up also in a Hispanic household. And so that cultural piece comes into play of, you don't show everybody your life. You don't put everything out there. So even for me personally, I've had to work through and break down a lot of those barriers that I feel like were placed upon me, but also of telling my family and trying to explain to them the importance of sharing those. And then even now it's like, so our son, he's going to be 3 in May. He has autism. And so even trying to use him as an example of, I share parts of my journey that I go through with him. And then trying to tell them, like, if other people did not talk about these things, you would have no idea what it's like to deal with somebody with autism or, have a child with autism. And it makes them rewire and think about how they think about people sharing information. And so for me, just breaking through a lot of that, I'm probably more conservative than David when it comes to putting things out there. So just thinking about other people, but there's really nothing as far as our own lives that I feel like we have too much off limits.
Well, and that's even that thing, like from her standpoint is, I wouldn't say necessarily public perception, but we both are high on like being respectful. That's one of the 4 pillars, even that we want to teach our children, is being respectful. But when it comes to being authentic and being genuine, on my side of things is like, I don't want to sugarcoat things at all in regards to what gets shared and what doesn't get shared. So I talk about in the past, I'm a runaway. I ran away from home twice, actually, when I was 17 and 18. I talk about that. I talk about my challenges with my parents' divorce. I talk about my struggles with alcohol in previous years. And so it's like, I want to be as genuine and authentic as I can, because again, it's like, it comes across like to the audience. And so it's like, we are not, guys, we are not this perfect couple who just got it all figured out. Even Sasha was talking to me the other day about some of her students were asking us like, how do you guys do it? How do you guys get it? Like, you guys seem like you just got everything all figured, and we don't. Like, it's chaotic. We get into arguments. We have our struggles, just like any other normal couple, just like any other normal family. I just think, like I said, what we accelerate at is having some core principles and beliefs that we want to live by. And then, like I said, we pursue those aggressively and passionately, and let that be the guiding light on like just how we live our lives. And I want to show that as much as possible. But yeah, for me, I don't know if there is an off limits. I don't necessarily look at it like what's off limits, what's on limits. It's just more just like, it's like what's helped us and what's helped us and what have we struggled with. And I want to share that just to let people know that we are normal, everyday people with normal, everyday struggles, just like all of them.
Thank you both for your honest and genuine answers there. You both bring up vulnerabilities that you have in your life and your willingness to share that with your audiences. And that does paint a picture of who you are. And it's not glossing over that everything is perfect. And if you work with us, your life will be perfect as well. Because I think people can, if they can't see through that quickly, they will at some point. And I really liked how you described it as this is what's helped us and this is how we can help you. I found a lot people on these journeys, they're not necessarily, there are plenty of people who are looking to get where you are. And even if that's not perfect, that they, if you can connect with those people, you can help a lot of people. And it sounds like what you're doing. So thank you very much for that answer. I love it. I wrote down a couple of things. I'll ask quickly. You mentioned respect being one of the 4 pillars. What are the other 3?
Oh yeah, I love this. So like I said, just like you want to figure out what it is exactly that you're working for, who you want to be, how you want to behave, how you want to live. So raising kids is a challenge for anybody who has kids. As you know, you have 3. You said.
I do.
So the 4 pillars that we've discussed on is like, we want them to be disciplined, we want them to be respectful, we want them to be hardworking, and we want them to be fearless. And so whatever they want to pursue in their life, instead of us pushing on athletics or music or academics or whatever it is, a lot of parents want to like mold their kids into what I don't know if it's what they wanted to do when they were younger or where, I don't know. For us, we've discussed many times, it's like, what if Zaman doesn't like sports at all? Like, what if he's into theater? I don't know. But it's just like, we have this idea of what we would like our kids to be, but they may not have that same idea. And so that's okay with us. But what we definitely want to instill is those 4 character traits so that whatever they do choose, that they, number one, again, are disciplined, they're hardworking, they're respectful, and they're fearless. And then again, that they pursue their own passions and live their own lives to the fullest. I did get those 4 right?
Yep.
Those would be tough for anyone to argue with is good values, good pillars for children and a positive home life. So that's thank you for sharing those with us. Somehow we are already coming up on time. So I did want to ask this question for you both. Is there a student success story, you can either together or separate, that you could paint that might help somebody who's thinking that, I could use some help, but I'm nervous, I don't know where to turn, or somebody that you've helped along the way that might be a good indicator for somebody else that it's their turn to reach out?
There's so many.
I know how much time we have left.
I'm going to let you go. As long as you can, you're painting a good story, I'm going to let it go.
What's one of your favorites?
For me, one of my, and I currently still have her as a client, and she's great. We're about 5 pounds away from losing 100 pounds. So she's almost lost 100 pounds, but that's fantastic. But what I'm most proud of her about is just seeing all the actual life transformations while we've been working together. Is she's just filling so many different areas. Those buckets we talked about is getting promotions at work. So I've been working together, so she's gotten promotions at work. People are coming to her now and asking for advice. What is she doing? How does she lose weight? How is she doing so well at work? And she's like, you're in my ear, and I'm passing it on to them. And I'm like, that makes me so excited. And that she's empowering other people. It's just passing that knowledge back down to others. So she's one of my favorites. It's just, instead excelling in all kinds of different areas of life.
It's hard to choose from because, like I said, I've been doing this professionally for 16 years. So there's, so many that come to mind. On our portfolio, we have 10 100-pound losers. And so we're creating a new one every 2 years, almost like clockwork. And I know this is going to be Sasha's, like your first one, yeah?
Yeah.
To surpass that 100-pound mark. So it's a very prestigious group. For me, I'll stick with the current one too as well. Like I said, there's so many. I have this gentleman out in Las Vegas who this last year was recently divorced. And so his whole pursuit is him being in a position to where, like I said, he can potentially fall in love, find a partner, and, go that whole route. And so when we did his initial consultation and his breakthrough session, and what I described to him is like, listen, is like, you want to become a man that attracts the type of woman that you want to attract. And so like right now, you're not it. Would you agree or disagree? He's like, no, I agree. It's like, okay. So instead of focusing on getting a girl, let's focus on you becoming the type of man that gets the type of girl that you would want. And he's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so that has just been the overarching theme for him. And so we have not even like once talked about girls or women or pursuing. It's just like working on him, working on him, working on him. And over time, it's like just to see his transformation mentally, not only physically, because he's down, I think now currently he's closing in on 50 pounds himself, but just to see his attitude improve, just to see, like I said, his just outlook on life, his outlook on himself, how he handles struggles and adversity, how he handles trials and tribulations with just everyday things. It's like, I can just feel it. I can hear it in his voice. I can see it just on things that he posts online. It's like, he is literally becoming a new man. And that's just exciting. It's like, yes, the physical stuff is great. Yes, looking good, feeling good is great. But to see those shifts that's taking on in between his ears and in his head is so exciting for me and gratifying for me personally. Is like, that's what we're aiming for. People lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back. It's like people go through these ebbs and flows physically, but when you can really help an individual, like I said, transform from an emotional standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, from a mental standpoint, like it's going to stick, and it's going to stick for a long time. And that's just been one of my favorites for me currently. Like I said, we've had so many, but I've just had so much satisfaction to really know that I'm truly, and we're truly impacting people in that type of manner. And it goes far beyond just your body. It's everything from, like I said, their work, from the type of people that they either stop hanging out with and start hanging out with. It's just that it's really, really satisfying professionally.
Those are both fantastic answers, because even if you just listen to us, you can hear in their voices that they are so passionate about this. Their faces light up as they talk about it. So thank you for sharing both of those. I will get out of here on this. I'm going to try something and see how it goes. Sasha, we'll start with you. Can you tell us something that David did not tell us today that we should know about him?
Something that you should know about David. Well, I think he said that, though. David is a no BS type of person. He wants to tell you the way it is, but it always comes from a place of love and support. And he's telling you that because he cares. And so you can sense it when you talk to him, but it's something he didn't talk about today, but it's always because he cares, and he will get you where you want to go. You just have to be willing to walk the journey with him.
Quite an endorsement, David. That's going to be tough to follow, but you're up.
Good luck.
Something the audience doesn't know about Sasha.
That I should have asked her today, that I didn't ask, or that you can fill us in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm trying to follow that up. My favorite, okay, there's so many different ways that we could go this.
You're on a time crunch, hurry up.
No, see, there she goes, trying to, there we go, trying to be. I would think that the audience would want to know is, oh, yes, absolutely. So one thing that I think the audience would definitely appreciate is, in what I've seen in her, is that her own growth. And when I say by growth is like, because she came from a very traditional background, and to see her be more risk averse, to see her step outside of her comfort zone, because like I said, when that whole transition happened in 2020, she was scared to death. And I was excited. She was scared. I was excited. But she has her own self-doubt. She has her own, like I said, own personal frustrations. She's always, and like I said, I think we didn't talk about this a little bit earlier. It's like, we are not perfect by any means. And she deals with the same mental limitations, self-imposed, just like all of us, just like all the women and men that she helps too as well. And a lot of people online or people say, oh my gosh, she got it so together. How does she do this? She take care of 2 kids and this and this and this and this and this. And so something that the audience would like, sometimes like she's a wreck, just like I am. I'm a wreck more than she is for sure. But even, I think it was even yesterday, she was like, I'm frustrated. I was like, well, what are you frustrated about? And she's like, well, actually, it's like, I'm just frustrated that I'm frustrated. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Like, I don't even know. So it's just like, we're normal people. And we're working on ourselves constantly. And I think that would be our message to everybody out there is like, this is an infinite pursuit of improvement. And we're always looking to level up. Once we reach one level, we're looking for the next one. And it's sometimes it can be annoying because we're never satisfied, but it's always exciting, especially, like I said, when it comes to your profession or raising your kids or things like that. You always want to see what's out there. She likes gangster rap too. A lot of people would never guess that, but I'll just throw that one in there.
All right, that was a good one to sneak in at the end.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of the information about each other. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find you or find out more if they would like to get in contact or kind of just learn more about what you're about?
So on Instagram, my handle is Sasha, SASHA _ fit counselor. And on Facebook, it's just under Sasha Rogers, ROGERS. And then I'm on YouTube talking more about bringing more awareness to autism and being a mom, taking care of myself with a son with autism. And it's just Sasha Rogers 65.
For me, I'm mostly active on Instagram, and it's free Falco _ fitness, FREEFALCO. That's the main platform that I'm the most active on. You can find me on Facebook too as well, David Williams. But either one of those will be fine. Reach out to us there.
Excellent. So we'll post all those links. I can't thank you both enough. This has been so much fun. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to doing it again sometime.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having both of us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.